Coach Kiritsy, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hop on here. For the listeners at home, will you tell us a little bit about your background, your motivation, and kind of where you are currently?
Certainly. Well, first of all, I'm really happy to be here. I appreciate you reaching out. A little bit about me. So I grew up in Massachusetts, a small town in central Massachusetts. Son of a coach, the son of a coach. It's not in my blood because he's my stepdad, but I like to say that it's in my blood. I was surrounded by high school girls basketball, high school football, growing up. I played sports, played high school football, high school baseball, played basketball when I was younger, ran a little bit of track, wasn't very good, but did have that experience.
Yeah.
I started training, and I tell this story, and it turns out that there are a lot more people like me than I thought, but I started training the day after I saw Rocky for the first time.
Okay.
So I saw Rocky. The next day I went for a run. Remember how far I got before I couldn't go anymore. I walked home. And, the next day I went for a run again. And I got a little further. I'm like, oh, man, this stuff works. No wonder why Rocky ran.
Yeah.
Right? So I was a runner, and that fed its way into weightlifting. And we didn't have a strength coach. We had a football coach who opened the weight room. I trained hard. Did things the best we could. We didn't know a whole lot, but we worked our asses up and gave us the ability to grow. And you get all the lessons through training. Like, you train, you get better. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
And there's just something beautiful about the simplicity of that. So I got off, was able to go and play Division III football, which isn't fantastic for a lot of people, but it was for me. I played Division III football in the university in the middle of nowhere, Vermont. I spent 4 years in military school, played football, baseball, and that was where I had my first real strength coach. It was a tremendous influence on me. And although I had known that I wanted to coach for a long time, I did not know that you could be a strength coach. That was something that sport coaches did on the side to help their teams get better.
Yeah.
And kind of got exposed to that world, knew that part of my love for the sport of football and sports in general was process and committing more or less than the people that you're going to compete against. So I became a student assistant there. I loved it. And luckily, when my first strength coach, by the time I had graduated college, my first strength coach had climbed up the ranks and had a low-paid professional intern position, and I was able to fall into that. So after 4 years of college, where I did some, undergrad student assistant work, I spent 2 years at the University of Vermont, which was a tremendous learning experience for a million reasons, personally, professionally, morally, ethically. I made a lot of mistakes, but I worked hard and learned. After 2 years there, I went and I left that position to be a graduate assistant at the Citadel under Donnell Boucher, which is this decision of my life. I was to propose to my current wife. And so I went down to Charleston. I was a GA for a month. There was some staff turnover with him. I became the associate director, which sounds beautiful, but it was $18,000. But money versus no,
that's true. Huge. That's big.
I grew tremendously under his leadership. Those of you listening, if you don't follow along with Coach Boucher and all the stuff that he's done at the Citadel, you're dumb. It's about as good as there is.
Yeah.
That will let be. So I grew a lot under him, and we did some pretty good stuff. After 3 years, I was able to take that position and find my way to Kennesa State, where I am now. I was hired in 2014 to be the director of football strength conditioning at a startup football program. Not a transition football program, not like going D2 to D1. Literally, when I got here, there was nothing. No kids on campus. There was nothing. We'd never practiced. We didn't have a game. We didn't have a team. So I was able to come here and help start this program, which was just, like what I say, it's one of the best experiences of my life. $1 million experience, I'd pay $1 million to not do again. So a great still here.
Yeah.
After 4 years, I was asked to oversee the entire department. So after 4 years of just football, I stepped into overall directing chicken rooms, football, and Olympic sports. And that's where I am right now. I love it. I bleed black and gold. I think that this level of athletics is an amazing level to coach at. In mid-major, you call it FCS football and mid-major athletics. I feel tremendously fortunate to work here for the head coach, for the leadership at this university. And I'm driven to do great every day. I love it here.
That's awesome. And that's funny that you mentioned the Rocky thing, because that's actually similar to how I got into it too. So yeah, you're not alone. I thought I was the only one.
It's amazing what, and, I spoke at Summer Strong a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Strong, and I said, I started training after I saw Rocky. Yeah. And the big lesson is don't be afraid to be inspired. Like, you could be inspired by watching a movie or listening to a soundtrack or listening to a motivational talk or a thought, and whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. If it inspires you, let it inspire you. Go, you can be as a result of that.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay. And then diving into, right, you talked about, kind of your journey as a student assistant, and then, getting paid $18,000 and the difference between what that's like versus getting paid nothing, right? So what are your recommendations to young coaches trying to do something similar as you, especially trying to navigate some of this financial literacy part as well?
Well, understand, number one, that it's not fair. And it is what it is. It's fair, and I hope that someday it gets better. I really do.
Yeah.
But it's fair. And first thing, don't compare yourself to your friends coming out of college doing other jobs. Because in jobs as high school teachers making $40,000 a year, that seems like $1 million to a youngster.
Yeah.
And then you have someone who gets, graduates and goes into the financial world and starts at $80,000.
Yeah.
That seems like $1 billion to what you're doing, right? And that is what it is, brother. Like, that is what it is. Just be okay with it.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to coach, you're not doing it for the paycheck. That doesn't mean that the paycheck is important. Right now, we're working to be worth the paycheck in the eyes of our employers.
Yeah.
Right? And right now, our employers aren't paying us very much. People in my chair right now, people like Donnell, people like Coach, Doyle at Iowa, we're fighting every single day to try to increase the value of our chair. So when you sit in our chair, it's worth more. But right now, it ain't fair.
Yeah.
Just eat it right now and do the best that you can.
Yeah.
Be financially responsible. You got to know that, like, you got to do what you got to do to stay out of debt the best you can. Right? So, like, don't just go into this and say, you know what, I can take out more loans. I didn't get a scholarship. I was not a student athlete. I have student debt from undergrad.
Yeah.
I was not in a position where I could take out more loans. That means I needed to work extra jobs.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's my work. I slept on the floor. I didn't have anything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of my journey where I am now. But don't do this thing saying, like, I'm just going to take out more loans, and eventually, because, dude, it's okay to take out more loans when your first job pays you $6 figures. Your first job's going to pay you $30,000.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you pay.
Yeah. I mean, and on that same topic,
so
you're on that same note, your second job, your third job might only pay you 30, 35, so, like, the return on investment is not, not that it's not there, but, like, financially speaking, like, yeah, taking out loans is probably not the best option.
And you got to know that right away.
Yeah.
So you got a way to navigate through that. And I try to be understanding with my staff and especially my volunteers and my graduate assistants. Like, they might have a cell phone payment. They got things that they got to handle, and I can't them of their ability to earn some outside income. So we try to support that, at least from a time standpoint. Not at the expense of our student athletes, but we got to give them the ability to go earn some money. From an advice standpoint, you got to find a way to get your, and if that means volunteering, that means volunteering. That means being a GA, that means being a GA. You got to get your foot in the door, and you got to find a way to stay afloat, and that's your responsibility. That's not mine as your boss. That's not your mom's. That's your dad's as your dad. It's your responsibility to stay afloat, because most people who have made it in this industry did off the sweat of their back. That shit ain't changing. So you got to find a way to make it work, and don't complain about it. Go get it done. It's not fair. Own it right now. Shit ain't faster track, but you're not going to get paid well, if at all. You got to be the one to keep yourself afloat. You are in control of your destiny by committing to the job, working your ass off, impressing your boss, and getting an opportunity to do something that's going to pay you down the road. But also understand this. You might do a great job making 10G at a D2 school in Nowhereville, Illinois,
Mm.
and you feel like you're a cornerstone of that athletics department, and you might be, but you don't owe them loyalty. When it's time for you to move on, what's best for your career, personally and professionally, you got to go. Say thank you for your help, thank you for your assistance, thank you for the opportunity. I got to do this what's best for me. Don't let your boss, the AD, the athletic trainer, another sport coach, or a kid tell you, oh, why are you leaving us now? You really letting us down. No, you let me down by not paying me more.
Mm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So don't feel like you're trapped at a location because they're just going to take advantage of your loyalty as long as they can get you cheap.
Yeah.
As soon as you get an opportunity to go, you serve those kids while you're there, and then you got to go,
Coach, I feel like we could stop the talk right now, and that's already like immense value. That's huge. I think a lot of young coaches need to hear that because, you know, that first job, once you get it, you kind of get stuck in there and you feel like, oh, man, I'm here for these kids and for this university. And they get stuck in that quote-unquote loyalty. But like you said, they'll sell you out for a heartbeat if someone else is going to take it cheaper, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that ain't going to pay you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they are, then let them pay you because that's a show of loyalty from you.
Mm.
Your loyalty is the work that you do for you to them.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. And so you talked a little bit about staff structure, right? Will you kind of briefly go over that and what that looks like for you guys?
Yeah, I've had, as I think about this, I looked at the question you asked me. So I've been coaching since 2009. So I have coached in extremely random, very different staff dynamics.
Okay.
At Vermont,
Mm-hmm.
was a director, an assistant, and then as a professional intern.
Mm-hmm.
That sense has improved, which good for them. They invest in support. They do a great job at that university.
Mm-hmm.
Citadel, when I got there, it was director, associate director, low paid but paid, and then 3 unpaid graduate assistants.
Mm-hmm.
No stipend, but they got tuition, right? That has since changed because Donnell has done a great job making that better.
Mm-hmm.
Kennesa, I was by myself with football, and there was a director and assistant for Olympic sports.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a GA, and Olympic sports got a GA.
Mm-hmm.
I got another GA. Then we turned one of my GAs into a pro intern.
Mm-hmm.
Then we turned the pro intern into full-time. Then we turned the GA on Olympic sports into pro intern. Like, we're talking about like every year something changed.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it doesn't really change how we operate.
Mm-hmm.
Just gives us more experienced hands to help us do a better job.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
So, when it was me and just one GA in football, well, we had a bunch of interns and we rocked it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the GA just helped us be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I was able to take my GA and make him a pro intern, pay him a little bit more. Right? Not much, pay him something. He stayed. We were just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Make it a full-time gig. We just got a little bit better. We haven't stopped doing the same things. It's just the input that comes and the experience of the staff changes when you've got more to give, right?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I'm in a situation right now where at the start of the semester, it was in the football office. It was me, a full-time assistant, and GA left in the summer, haven't had a chance to replace him. And 3 interns. Now, the 3 interns work football and Olympic sports. But sports, they do football when they can, but the schedule's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, my full-time assistant left. He took BS. Good for him. Kudos. Got to go. Well, that job just got frozen. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, right?
Yeah.
So this is the first time in a long time that I have had to change my pre-semester plan because I lost experienced eyes. So my staff makeup technically is me, 2 full-time assistants on Olympic sports, professional intern on Olympic sports, right? And then 3 interns in football.
Yeah.
One of which was an intern at his previous place for a semester and a half, so not a ton of experience.
Yeah.
One just got done playing ball, and another who's never coached before. So that's a lot different than what it could be.
Yeah.
My student won because I believe that if you can at least walk around and yell good cues, you can coach, you can make us better. your confidence and your competence, right? And that's a cycle. Confidence, 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 cycle. So we try to unify our staff football and Olympic sports as much as we can. But I refuse to reduce the effectiveness of my staff on the Olympic sports side just to pay for football. I refuse to do that. We've got 2 weight rooms, so we've got wide open scheduling for Olympic sports, which means my football team doesn't get much help from them, right? During the summer. And they have to be all united and all together all the time. But it don't work that way. And that's not what's best for the kids. And we coach for the kids. Right? We're here to serve the kids, and we're going to give them the best opportunities possible. We do our best to make it, to maximize it. But at the end of the day, the job's got to get done. It doesn't matter if you're full-time doing GA, an intern, whether you work Olympic sports half-time, full-time. We're going to go out there with a unified mission. We're going to kick ass, period. We've got great support here. It just changes. Looks changes.
No, and I think that's important for people to understand is that's I don't think while your situation is difficult, like I think there's a lot of situations that are similar, right, across the nation. It's just constantly changing because people are, again, trying to add value to their department. And so things are changing, but then at the same time, you add value, it's always an ebb and flow, right? So you add a position, but then you inevitably lose something else, So I think that's also important for people to understand is it's not going to be, a straight trajectory. Just like success isn't straight line, neither is, the growth of departments. So I think that's good to hear firsthand.
No, you got to make changes and you got to roll with it. And there's no excuse.
And then even on that same structure, or on that same note, right? So we talked a little bit about training structure. So generally speaking, what does that training structure kind of look like? Or I guess your cycles, or just from a very 40,000 foot view. Let's say weight room versus speed agility kind of stuff, and that's comparing off season versus in season. So starting wherever you want. What does that kind of comparison, contrast, or complementary training even look like?
All right, so we're going to just kind of delve into football here, okay? Because that's that I program the most for. And that I've got the most experience programming with, having been here since we started this thing. All right, like we talked about, every situation is unique. And Kennesa State football, we are a very old school, very aggressive program. And that is 360 degrees situation. How we handle academics, how we do sports medicine, how we do strength and conditioning, most importantly, how we operate on the football field. Practice, games, we are tough. That's what we try to be. Try to be tough is to be tough. Okay? So, let me give you this 40,000 foot view, my calendar. I get my guys unopposed the month of February, 4 weeks. I get them however much, get them 8 hours. Road coach involved. In February, I lift them 3 days a week, and then we do mat drills for twice a week. You understand mat drills? We call them coaches runs.
But for the listeners that might not understand, I think it might be worth kind of covering just a little bit.
Well, it is very aggressive, sport coach led agilities, competitions. It's basically just we're trying to push them to their brink to see if they have anything left. And in the modern world, people hate it. People disrespect it. They see no value in it. It's extremely cultural. All right? I happen to have an old school soul, and I'm awesome. So every kid that goes through mat drills, it's really hard. But put my paycheck on the fact that ours is as tough as you're going to see. Not as you're going to see, but as tough as you're going to see. It is tough. And for good cause. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we kick their ass during coaches' runs during the month of February. I lift them Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then we go to 4 or 5 weeks spring ball. Depends on the way the calendar works with spring break. Signing days, there's a lot of things. 4 or 5 weeks where we practice 3 to 4 days a week. And we lift twice a week. Okay? Well, if coaches runs is World War One, and spring ball is World War II. Okay, it's full pads every single day. Live cut blocking to the ground, triple option, old school football. Full contact, full speed, every day.
Yeah.
Okay? Spring break, I get 3 weeks. Then I go home for a month, and then I train them all summer by myself.
Mm.
So I understand that you're not going to really follow along. I just said a lot of stuff. But I do not make an annual plan.
Okay.
I don't make an annual plan because I break my semester up into increments of which I can hand my kid of what my kids can handle and how to maximize growth.
Yeah.
So if I know that during February and March, I'm not going to be the primary driver of what's going on, if that's the case, all right, then I need to maximize January. So I can't do intro weeks. I can't deload. I can't be slow. I got to maximize January.
Yeah.
In February, now I got to see how I can manipulate my training to go alongside the real struggle that's going on during mat drills. I'll still getting 3 lifts a weekend and getting our kids stronger. So I got to make my January flow into my February. But it can't be linear.
Yeah.
Like it can't just be, I'm going to do a block of this, a block of that, and a block of this, and a block, because the weight room is not the priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. This is what it is. By Friday, the cup runneth over. Toast.
Yeah.
Then we go into spring ball, and I got to keep them together. Got to keep trying to get them stronger, but minimal effective dose, much as possible. So in January, it is not minimal effective dose. In February, we're in between, and in March, it's minimal effective dose. Do the best we can to blend them.
Yeah.
Can't be a perfect plan. Can't be. So basically, I've got like I have a semester in season that's broken up into 3 parts. Then they go home for a month, which they need and deserve.
Yeah.
And then we come back and we do an 8-week plan in the summer, where we really take 8 weeks. We progress and we try to make them what we call FTA, fast, tough, and athletic.
Okay.
Right? So we're trying to get big and strong in January. We're trying to keep getting stronger while keeping them together in February. Trying to keep them together.
Yeah.
And do what we've done during March.
Okay. No, I like that.
Try to get a test in April before they go home in May. And then it's get as strong as we can and as fast as we can in June.
Yeah.
And then in July, turn that general fitness, strength, and speed into repeated high activity action. Make our ability to replicate high activity.
Yeah.
And we do it in the heat because we're in Georgia, so we run in the afternoons.
Yeah.
So it's non-traditional, and it's perfect, but that's how we have to deal with it because we've got a lot of outside factors at play, which is good.
Yeah.
Our strength coaches get really arrogant that we're the most important thing. We're a piece of it.
Yeah.
And the culture that our head football coach lays down is the reason why we won 48 games in 5 years when we started with 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying that we all end all be all, we got all the answers. We don't. Right? But when you go from 0 games, 0 and 0 for your history, right? 6 and 5, 8 and 3, 12 and 2, 11 and 2, 11 and 3, playoff appearances, right? I can't say that our culture is off.
Yeah.
I can't say that our culture is off. So I'll do my part to maximize my impact on our culture.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do that because I believe in our head coach.
I like that. And I like, you talked about adaptability early on. And just, the life of a strength coach. I think this really illustrates that, right? Because, you go to school and you learn that, like you said, the linear progression, and this is how it has to work, and this is an annual plan. But again, once you get in the actual setting, it's different. So, learning to roll with the punches and learning what works for you in your situation. And again, like you said, it's not going to be the same in every place, right? But you have to learn what works for you, your athletes, and your population. And, that's phenomenal. Going from, like you said, zero wins to how many playoff appearances was that?
3 in a row.
Yeah, that's, phenomenal. And again, that is it a testament to your culture, a testament to what you're doing. And it's interesting because, going from where I was in North Carolina to where I am now in Portland, I think there's this so divergent, right? Like, half the country is doing like very scientific thing, which is not bad, but at the same time, I think they lose a lot of the value of some of this old school gritty, like hard work mentality. You know?
Yeah. Todd Hamer, until recently, was a collegiate strength coach, and he's one of the best there is. Like, I just love reading his stuff, listening to him talk. I mean, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he wrote an article, one of his elite FTS, like by the coach, for the coach, said that the most important thing a strength coach can do for a student athlete is teach them how to work hard, consistent about doing it. And man, I know we got to get with the science and we got to get better.
Yeah.
Not denying that. I'm not denying that. But there's something to be said about a kid who every day he comes in and gives it his all and knows how to push themselves to a level that is not normal. Line that I call 90%ers. And the last thing I want on our football team, in our athletics department, is a 90%er. 90%ers are super reliable, show up on time, they wear the right stuff, they work hard every day, but they never put their shit on the line. You know?
Yeah.
Now, when you get someone who's willing to put it on the line, there are days where they're going to be at 20%.
Yeah.
And a dog cuss them up and down the field, and you got to get them to do the right thing. You got to go get them out of their dorms because Bill Parcells says if they're not a dog, if they don't fight when they're a puppy, they ain't going to fight right when they're a dog.
Yeah.
And like, I want my guys to bite during training.
Yeah.
Because we all say we want the super consistent, great teammate, but then we want a gamer on game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, trying to breed the mentality of all we know how to do is put it on the line and be the very best version of ourselves every single day.
Yeah.
Train the tip of the spear and be elite. And just, part of being elite is showing up every single day and wearing the right thing. Those are things that we're never going to let go.
Yeah.
But I want to train the mentality of sprinting through it to a nosebleed because you're willing to push yourself so hard. No, trying to hurt people. But I want dogs.
Yeah.
Right? And that dog is trained.
Yeah.
And if you're just doing everything by the book all the time, your dog might not bite on game day. You're going to lose.
Yeah.
Percenters are great kids. They'll be great employees, and I love them to death. But I want a dog on game.
Yeah. No, I hear you, and it comes down to everything we do is kind of it's habitual, right? So if you're 90% habitually in training, then like you said, when it comes down to that last final play or whatever, the person that's been practicing, giving it their all and everything, that's the person that's going to show up, and that's the person that's going to make the difference, right? The 90%er, they're going to be in uncharted territory, right? If we're talking like sports world, Kobe Bryant just passed away, rest in peace. But he was the guy that was 100%er, right? He was the guy that practiced giving it his absolute all. And I think that's a great illustration. You know what I mean? That's one of the best illustrations you can have is someone that really just went in, got it every day.
Yeah, and those are rare.
Yeah.
It's rare that you have people who are that good.
Fair enough. And
are that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I get it. There are very few, and that's why it's so easy to name them.
Yeah.
Because it's so few of them.
Yeah.
But that's the mentality that we're trying to breed here at Kennesa State. And that comes with its ups and downs, let me tell you. But it's fun. It's a quest.
I hear you. Okay.
It's worth doing.
Okay. So in terms of implementation, right? So moving a little bit closer, moving down the floors from that 40,000 foot view, is there anything unique that you guys do in the weight room, speed, agility, quickness, that kind of standpoint? Or, what is the main differentiator, the atmosphere and the culture?
Well, I like to think that we're very competent.
Okay.
If you were to come watch us train, walk parallel, we coach the hell out of our cleans.
Yeah.
We land with good knee positions. We coach linear speed technique. We aim to be very competent.
Yeah.
But we don't lose our edge to be superiorly competent.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. And here's where I do think that I do some stuff that might be different.
Yeah.
I'm not a West Side guy, and I'm not a Gail Hatch guy, and I'm not a DeFranco guy, and I'm not a Boyle guy. I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to create, and I use these two different acronyms, FTA, fast, tough, and athletic. Soundbite. You can imagine what an FTA athlete is. They bend, they can run, and they can hustle. And being run and hustle are different things.
Yeah.
The mentality that goes with that, right? And the other one is our football deal is EAT, eat, effort, attitude, and toughness. We would define that by effort, attacking and finishing drills. Attitude, yes sir, no sir mentality, being coachable. Right? And toughness is having great body language and being consistent.
Yeah.
We never put our hands on our head, we never put our hands on our knees. Ever. We don't tolerate it. Right? TA, EAT. And we try to incorporate that type of those mentalities and those characteristics into the way that we train. So, for a while, we were very, very bad for some at catch clean.
Yeah.
So we stopped for a year. We did extra jump shrugs. We threw med balls. We jumped on boxes. We shoved forwards. We did shrugs and high pulls. I'm willing to get rid of what is traditional in order to create the type of athlete and the type of mentality we're trying to create here at Kennesa State.
Yeah.
I don't want to get bogged down with techniques that I don't think will necessarily carry over. And here's an example. I got a fifth-year linebacker. He was a transfer in a year ago, and he was a good player for us. All-conference player for us this year. Is going to his fifth year.
Yeah.
Well, it's not great at catching a clean.
Okay.
It's catching safely.
Yeah.
So we're doing squat cleans yesterday, and I go to say, Kareem, man, we're not going to squat clean. He goes, you sure, coach? I'm like, Kareem, you old, man. You're old. All right? And we don't catch them during spring ball anyway because we do cut blocking and you're shocking and shedding. But I'm more worried about you attacking the hips and catching athletically. You don't need to worry about that. Well, right next to him is a freshman. I explained to him, well, we're going to coach the hell out of this guy. I got a longer time to develop you.
Yeah.
I can make you FTA while squatting it low, make you that much better. But Kareem, we're going to maximize you in these next 6 to 10 months. Right? And we're going to maximize you FTA.
Yeah.
And I respect anyone who thinks that I'm a fraud. Because maybe I am. Right? But that's how I feel like I'm going to get the most out of that kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm a little bit different. We're going to coach the hell out of technique. But when something's not going right, we're going to find a different way to go about developing FTA EAT.
I love it.
That's what I think is different about us, and I think that feeds our environment. I would rather have somebody do something different than somebody do something awfully wrong.
I like that. Okay. So in terms of on the field type stuff, right? So I know a lot of teams are doing similar drills, cone drills, things like that. What are your influences, or how do you go about setting out your speed, agility, quickness, that kind of stuff? How do you go setting out your program on the field?
Well, linear speed I learned largely from Exos.
Okay.
I know Brett Bartholomew pretty well. A good friend of mine, Jeff Coulter, works up in like an Exos facility, trains a variety of athletes. So I'm exposed to a lot of the Exos methodology regarding linear speed. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of how I teach linear speed comes from them, but I don't overdo it.
Yeah.
We recruit fast kids.
Yeah.
Already fast.
Okay.
Just try to clean them up, but don't change them too much, because if you run a 4.4, man, you're pretty fast. Yeah. I'm not going to try to overdo it, but very Exos driven on linear speed.
Okay.
Multi-directional, I try to keep it simple. But I believe in when Nick Winkleman was running that Exos education, had this one great piece, and I can't remember what lesson it was, what series it was in, but you can do all the skills and drills you want, but you ain't gonna get fast until you run fast. Right? You race a lot.
Yeah.
We drill and then we race. And so there's a lot. We race a lot for speed, and we get our high velocity yardage. Because if a kid ain't that smart, they know about winning and losing still.
That's true. Yeah.
We're gonna put them next to somebody they don't want to lose to. We're gonna run. Right? And we just don't tolerate them pulling up or not giving their best effort. Multi-directional work, we do stuff to get general fitness through 5-10-5s, L drills, 60-yard shuttles, box drills, very basic stuff in the winter. And then when we get into the summer, we try to create position-specific agility drills that mimic some of the drills that they're going to do during their individual portion of practice. So our job is to get them ready for what's coming next. Right? So I know what our O-linemen have to do. I know what our wide receivers have to do. So it's not me trying to teach them to be wideouts or O-linemen. I'm just giving them the ability to get in stance and start positions like their position, to do drills that mimic what they're going to have to do during individual portions of practice, to kind of give their energy system, their local muscular fatigue, kind of an exposure to what their coaches are going to expose them to during camp. We'll do that all summer, and then we'll also do some really aggressive general drills again in the heat of July to try to get them acclimated to the intensity of a Kennesa State football practice and get the heat exposure at the same time. And that's cultural as much as it is physiological. And that's a really important part of what we do. There's a never quit mentality. There's a standard of body language, a standard to the way that you finish and attack your drills. And there's consequences for not doing it right every single time. It's old school. We are. If you don't finish, up, down. Put your hands on your knees, up, down. Rep don't count. Get back in line, do it again. Call your teammates out. Let's make this aggressive. And we do a lot of that stuff. So it's not sexy, but it's aggressive. And if that's our intention, then we're winning with our intention, and that's important.
I love that, honestly. Because if you haven't been in a, I guess, more southern type of environment, weight room, there's nothing like it, honestly. Like,
hell yeah.
There's nothing like it. Like, when I first got over there in North Carolina, right, coming from this, Pacific Northwest, I was like, whoa, like, all right, this is what we're doing. But now, after having been there for 3+ years, I'm like, wow, like, I wish I could bring that and implement. But it's such a culture shock, right? It's very cultural, like you said. It can't be implemented everywhere. People freak out, but yeah, there's nothing like it, honestly. And
I've been told that, so I'm counting my blessings that I work in the Southeast where a guy like me can work for a guy like Coach Bohannon, and we can go about our business and the way we think is most effective for our kids.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. And then moving forward, right, you talked about, some resources for linear multi-directional speed. In terms of, like, your general knowledge, just, your development, your coaching development, what have been some other big resources, whether it's a book, podcast, conversation, anything like that?
Yeah, well, there's a million. And so number one, you got to learn. I believe that coaching is 70% art and 30% science. It's about connection, building trust, holding people accountable, creative, cultivating an environment. I think that that's more important than what you're doing. How you're doing is more important than what you're doing. But that 50% science is critical. Because you got to be able to get your job done. So some great resources. Mike Boyle, read every one of his advances in functional training. I mean, Boyle is an incredible resource. Cal Dietz, building on his triphasic stuff. The book Triphasic gives tremendous, coverage into block periodization, which is great about not just doing things eccentric, isometric, French contrast, all that stuff. So he's an exceptional resource. A lot of people don't give enough credit to Joe DeFranco. He's an in the strength game. He was always working in the project, but he was working with athletes. And I love what Joe DeFranco does. So those three have been tremendously influential. If you read Mark Watts' stuff when he was working for Elite FDS and the stuff he put out when he was still a strength coach, he's put some great stuff. Brian Mann with APRE and philosophy training. Exceptional, very clear, to the point, applicable information if you've got the technology. So if you got it, he's the best. Just outstanding resources coming from Brian Mann. God, I mean, there's so many. I don't really dig too deep into the Russian texts. I've never been, super training. I ain't smart enough to. I've flipped through this and flipped through that, and I've read this and I've read that. And it's all just kind of coming in a little bit here, a little bit there to try to learn everything. But let the people you read tell you what to read next. So when you're reading Brian Mann and he mentions things about West Side, then go read West Side. And methods. by Louis. Even crazy. Read that. And then follow people on social media. Like Paul Jackson in South Carolina, long time at Ole Miss. He posts his book of the month. Buy those books and read them.
Yeah.
Follow people who do great stuff that you respect and ask them questions and ask to visit. And don't be afraid to experiment. Put yourself on the line to do stuff. So, some of the great, references. Everyone's going to say the same ones. But have an idea about what you want things to look like, and then take shit from the people that are most influential to you and apply it. So, perfect example. Joe Ken in the tier system is amazing. Well, Roulette, who does soccer or softball, I can't remember what he's doing now, at Oklahoma, he created a version of that called the Brick Method. Both of those are awesome templates to create the design, train student athletes. Right? I take them and make them my own.
Yeah.
And I mix it with Brian Mann, and I mix it with West Side Book of Methods, and I mix it with DeFranco, and I mix it with Caldice, because it's ultimately your program. You don't owe it to them to do it the way they did it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a million things to read them all, siphon through the bullshit, and determine what you think is best for your group, and go freaking do it.
Yeah.
If you're wrong, change it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it didn't work, don't do it again.
Yeah. That simple, right? That's
and don't blame the kids.
Yeah.
The kids for it not working. It's your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. Take responsibility, right? And it's just like the scientific process, right? Observe, experiment, hypothesize, and then experiment, and then, do it again. If it didn't work,
absolutely,
you roll through that. So, that's awesome. Okay, and then diving into a little specific, section kind of for young coaches, right? In terms of applications, Con Ed, like moving forward, opportunities, what advice do you have for them? Whether it's getting that new internship, GA, that first-time position, do you have any advice for young coaches there?
Yeah, so get your spot, okay? Pour yourself on the line to get a spot. Volunteer, GA, whatever it is, okay? But then when you go and you start to work, go to work. And I mean, like, go to work. Like, show up early, clean the hell out of that place, and go to work. And be exceptionally curious, all right? So I just had to give my interns the business, right? I got good kids here working for me. But I learned how to use Photoshop. Now, by no means am I really good, but I know how to use Photoshop because we got TV screens in our weight room, display winners and losers, studs and duds, information, and you can do it a lot better than a white screen with black letters.
Yeah.
You can make stuff that catches people's eye, and that's part of the culture. So I'm over here working with our video guy who's kind of teaching me some new tools.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to make the winner club with some pictures and all stuff, and they're eating. I would have been looking over the shoulder trying to learn how to use Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? And don't think that anything doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
It all applies to you. You know what? Learning how to use Photoshop might give you a better cover page for the packet you hand to the head coach that you're interviewing for your first headshot. He might be like, damn, this looks good. First impressions go a long way.
Yeah.
So be curious about how to use Excel better. Be curious about how to use Photoshop. Be curious about how to use Tendo. Be curious about everything and ask questions and dive in and try to get yourself invested in the program. But don't be a nerd. You can be a nerd. I like Star Wars. Big Star Wars fan. I see all the Marvel movies. I play video games. Like, I get it. Dungeons & Dragons is my jam. But when I go out and I talk to our players from the hood, all right, we're talking about Mo Bamba. Right, we're talking about the influence of Tupac Shakur on hip-hop. We're talking about Kobe Bryant. We're talking about how I think Larry Bird was better than Michael Jordan, which I don't think so, but I'm from the Northeast, and I got to carry my area. Right? So go and connect with these kids on a personal level. Don't be somebody you're not. Go out there and connect with them on a personal level. Don't be a geek. Because hey, listen, there's too many nerds out there. Like you do this whole podcast. We're trying to develop dogs. We're trying to get them tough, and when we take them off the leash, to go attack. Well, they're only gonna be willing to go that way if they feel like if somebody lets me off the leash, I'm gonna go attack. Right? So if you want to connect, then you gotta go talk the language of the area.
Yeah.
It might be in Georgia than it is in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
We talk, like maybe talking about Starbucks, maybe talking about I don't know, right? But you want to connect with them on a geographical level and a cultural level that make them be inspired to do more.
Yeah.
Great leaders inspire action, and that's what Kite Civic says. And what the Kite family, who does the Focus 3 podcast, say, that great leaders inject positive and productive energy into their people. Positive and productive energy. You got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You do that, stand there, watch, man. Heels down, knees down. You've got to externally rotate. Dude, they don't give a shit. They want you to get in there and make sure, right? And you got to mix the cues in motivation. Yeah. And if you do that, then you've got 70% science and 30% art, and you don't belong in this game.
Very good. No, yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I think that's probably the simplest way to break it down, right? But yeah, that's real good. There's no other way to put it, right? You have to be able to connect. And the athlete, right? You know, it's I guess high school is a great little microcosm for this, right? The athlete's never going to take advice in athletics from the nerd, right? In high school, it's the same thing for the rest of life. Like, just draw it out. Just draw it out.
It's just the way it is, man. And always be you. Be unapologetically you.
Yeah.
Do your job really well. I'm not saying that we got to just start headbutting people and towels and yelling and screaming. That's not coach. A coach.
Yeah.
Coach by being engaging. You know how to engage different groups. Like, you got to be able to tone it back when you go work with another group, but you got to be able to connect with them as well.
Yeah.
You're amazed at how much guys and girls are similar. Hey, I'm playing music off the Kennesa State playlist for football, right? And it's gross. It's just all modern trap rap that they want to listen to, right? But then when you go over and you work with women's lacrosse and you let them pick the Pandora station, they still pick Moneybag Yo. Right? It's amazing. Don't be like, oh, they're girls. They might want to listen to, like, T Swift.
Yeah.
They want like it down too, right? So let's look towards that mentality all across the board.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, moving into this last segment here, just kind of some stuff about like your thought process, your mentality, and some experiences, right? So if you have any, what are some quotes that you live by?
I saw you send me this, and I appreciate that. And I'm not a quote guy, but I am most certainly a quote guy because everybody can be moved.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be pretty generic, okay? But I really believe that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think that is just significant in what we do. It is significant.
Yeah.
And it's cliche and it's old, but that's okay because I got an old soul. But it goes right back to what we just finished talking about, connecting with people.
Yeah.
People are much more apt to dive in and pour into what you're telling them to do if they believe that you're in it together and that they can trust you.
Yeah.
So you gotta care about it. And don't think that it's all about you and the other person. It's also the cause.
Yeah.
People care. They're more willing to dive in with people who are fighting for the same fights.
Yeah.
We're trying to be champions. Your role is to run your ass off. My job is to get you in better shape. I take pride in my job. You got to take pride in your job, and I'm not going to let you make me do a worse job.
Yeah.
Because we are in this together. Right? And then there is the personal connection that we're in this to help individuals.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one.
Okay.
The other one, and I got this one up here, you can't see it, but it's from the Lorax. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
Yeah.
Right? So think about that. You are in control of so much in your life, but you refuse to acknowledge it. Back to Brian Kite, Tim Kite. BD, blame, complain, defend. We are so quick to blame others, complain about our situation, and defend our role. And like they also say, it's probably true. You probably got some lazy kids. You probably don't have all the resources you need. You probably are trying really hard. But no one cares about your problem.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to fix it. Let someone like you cares a whole awful lot. Nothing's going to get better. It's not. And that's because if you care, you'll do something about it.
Yeah.
On my staff, every semester we have new interns. and I say we're going to be the thermostat, not the thermometer, right? It's classic habitudes, right? A thermometer reads the temperature. A thermostat sets it. We're not going to sit back and wonder why things aren't going the way we want to go. We're going to fix the problem because we got a vision for what it should look like, and we're going to go make it look that way. Period. Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, those are the two. I want people to know that I care about them. And if they don't, they're not going to do what I ask them to do because I ask a lot out of our kids and my. So you got to connect, and then we want you got to take ownership of your role.
Yeah.
You got to go do something about fixing problems.
Okay. Would you say that that's also kind of similar to the best advice that you've ever been given?
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly. You know, I was taught at a young age to show up early and work really, really hard. Be first in line and win every rep. Yeah. And when you're your effort can win you every rep. When you're like 10.
Yeah.
I was athletic enough to win every rep by working harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
Just first in line. And I tried to win every rep. Now, eventually I got slow because I wasn't kids were faster than me.
Yeah.
And so be it. But, you know, first in line, win every rep. And that concept, it's a mentality.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I got promoted early at the Citadel is because when we were human cones, like we're going to run 20-yard sprints. Okay, staff, go to the 20. I'd sprint to the 20. I'd be the first guy at the 20.
Yeah.
The 30, bam, I went to the 30.
Yeah.
First one there.
Yeah.
At me, bro. I'm first, you know? So that's also been big. And, you know, my grandfather was a Marine. Hurry up and wait. Be early and wait. All those things were instilled. I was raised really well.
Yeah.
By mom, a stepdad, and a dad, and a stepmom that let me grow and just demanded that I do the little things right.
Yeah.
But let me do everything else. I didn't have overbearing parents. So I kind of learned those lessons along the way because the stuff that mattered the most to them ended up mattering the most to me.
I love that.
That's why those principles mean so much.
Yeah, okay. So in contrast to that, what's the worst advice you've ever been given?
I had a basketball coach. Longer is employed by whatever. Okay. All right, so when I took over from just football, when I took over all sports, I trained our men's basketball team.
Yeah.
For that whole summer. And I did that because we were short on people and I wanted to establish leadership. And my juice to basketball. Now, there was a major problem with the basketball program. And it's being fixed now by new leadership. Taking time. It will take time. Yeah. But new leadership is doing a great job. Well, there's one assistant said, hey, he goes, Coach K, you know, like, you got to calm down sometimes because if you keep pouring into this way, you're just going to burn yourself out. I'm like, are you kidding? That's why you guys just went 3-27.
Yeah.
Burn up yourself in this thing. Right? So there's no such thing as overinvesting. Yeah. There is a thing about being irresponsible to your personal life and your family life. And that's something that I'm glad you brought up before we started this interview because that's really important to me. But I am not going to let shit stop me from bringing my enthusiasm, energy, and accountability to the floor. Yeah. Not let that happen. Yeah. So that would eliminate the passion from my life. Period.
I love it. That's huge. That's really huge. Okay. So last kind of question here. What kind of projects are you currently working on and how can people kind of reach out to you and follow your journey?
So what I'm talking about, like, it's amazing what you learn. I'm in my 10th year of coaching, but I feel like I'm in my first week. Leadership is everything. And so I'm learning. My big project right now is I'm trying to lead myself. Myself better. So some of our big issues right now, non-traditional. We have parking issues. We're getting noise complaints. So those are my big things. I'm trying to get my position reestablished, which I don't blame anybody for it. It is what it is. So those are my big projects. I'm trying to reassemble my staff. I feel like the fractured Avengers.
Yeah.
I mean, restore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to come back fat.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to put the team together.
Got to get the team back together. So I'm working on that. I'm working on trying to make our logistics of our athletics department work better.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to help cultivate the environment in our weight room where we're getting noise complaints. It's hard to be great when you're worried about keeping the music quiet. And then I'm also trying to just continue to invest in learning, get better, develop my staff, and be the very best that we can be every single day. So my projects right now are kind of outside the box.
Yeah.
Those are fights that I'm willing to fight because that's my chair.
Yeah.
My chair.
Okay.
Personally, my wife is 8 months pregnant with her first child.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Thank you very much. It's horrifying.
Okay.
I'm going to be a girl dad like Kobe was. And I have fought, the first 7 years of my career, I was an obsessive worker like we all are. And I got married in 2017. Now, we've been together for a long time, but I got married in 2017, and she moved back down with me after being in PA school 3 years. And the day she moved back, I tried to create a little bit more balance in my life so I would not be an absent husband.
Yeah.
And now I've been working to be more efficient with my day, effective in my delegation, so I will not be an absent father.
I love it.
Enough about our job that does not allow us to be everywhere. I will be on the road with the football team.
Yeah.
We have 6 a.m. runs. There are things that I have to do that are going to get me away from raising my child.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I can't do a great job in other areas. So I am going to fight tooth and nail to create the most appropriate balance to be elite in my industry, be morally as a husband and a father. That's my personal challenge that I'm practicing right now.
That's a huge project, and I think it's important to talk about as well, right? Because the more you talk about it, the more that it becomes a priority, not only in your own life but in other people's lives. And I think people forget that. They get stuck in the grind, but family and your personal life, you have a responsibility to people outside of the field. So I think it's we do well to make sure that we really prioritize those people.
And I think we need to, strength coaches, we need to reevaluate that, especially you young cats out there, right? What we do is awesome. And how much you love your student athletes is awesome.
Yeah.
Don't stop that. But I was talking with one of our defensive line coaches after practice one day, and this coach is now working at the Naval Academy. And he had three young kids, all under 5 or 6 at the time.
Yeah.
And he had one of his kids in his room, one of his defensive ends who plays for us.
Yeah.
Who couldn't show up on time, doing the wrong stuff, and I handle all that at Kennesa State.
Yeah.
Like all the discipline, but it's all well communicated. And so I'm talking to him like, hey, how are we going to reach him? And he goes, at some point that kid's got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to take the fall for him because I love my kids. I love the kids I play for. I'll do anything for them. But I love them as much as I love my kids.
Yeah.
Right? And if there's not a difference, you've got priority issues and you shouldn't have a child.
Yeah.
Right? And the person that you choose to marry is a priority in your life. That's why you got married.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean that they're not going to take a back seat sometimes.
Yeah.
But if they're taking a back seat all the time, well, you've got problems.
Yeah.
So to reevaluate, make sure you know what's going on. Pour yourself into your industry because it's most likely your passion. Work worth doing because these kids need us.
Yeah.
But your kids at home need you too. And I hope to be able to do well. You're hearing me. This is like my testimony, right?
Yeah.
This is me. This is almost an accountability check. I want to be great at these things. We'll see if I am.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, you still got to come home to something, right?
Or you'll go home to nothing.
Or exactly. So awesome. And then how can people kind of reach out to you and kind of follow that journey?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. KSU Owls Strength. I think there's one S in there. KSU Owl Strength. I'm a over poster on Instagram and under poster on Twitter. I'm trying to work on that balance. I try my hardest to respond to every email that I get. That found on our website. If you don't want to look at it, then you don't really want to talk to me. I try to respond. I won't respond to everybody, but I will try. If you're in the area and you want to come visit, we're open door policy 90% of the time. We do internships. They're very inclusive. We try to develop leadership and the X's and O's. We really take pride in doing a good job of that. So we need interns for the summer. We put that out there. But that's on you. It's free. Yeah. I'm not asking you to pay me. I'm just not going to pay you.
Fair enough.
But we got internships. You can come be a part of our thing if you got what it takes. But you can also along on social media. We put a lot out there. We take a lot of pride in that platform. So we'll continue to try to do a good job with that. But that's it, man. we're just us trying to be brilliant at the basics, do the simple things savagely well, steal a bunch of quotes from a lot of people, and try to make an impact on our kids' lives day in and day out.
Yeah, fantastic, Coach. This has been huge. I really appreciate you taking the time out. Got a lot out of it, not only from the nuts and bolts standpoint, but also from that personal standpoint. So once again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to connecting again soon in the future.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Best of luck with everything.